It's time to see who has the speed as we welcome you to round 4 of the NTT IndyCar Series. It's qualifying for the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix here at beautiful Barber Motorsports Park. What a shot that is to set the scene, to show you where this showdown will occur. Lovely to have you with us. Good afternoon from Alabama. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe, Marty Snyder is here, Kevin Lee and Dave Burns as the cars roll. Group 1 is on track in this multi-phase qualifying format that really builds to a natural crescendo and point of excitement to see, first of all, who can make it into the Fast 12, then the Firestone Fast 6, and who's going to have the speed like this man did last year, Rinus VeeKay of Ed Carpenter Racing, celebrating his 50th NTT IndyCar Series career start tomorrow. But first, he's got to qualify, and here's a reminder of the rules.
Field's divided into 2 groups based on practice time. That's going to help them hopefully find a clean lap. But on a 2.3-mile track, you're still talking 13 or 14 drivers that have to space themselves out. I talked to this guy right here, though, Rinus VeeKay, just about 30 minutes ago, and said, are you using the same setup that got you pole last year? He said, we tried it, but it just wasn't quite the same. And I got to put that down, James, to maybe this softer Firestone compound this year. He's searching for more grip at the back end of his car.
Yeah, in 2022, Firestone showed up with a slightly harder set of both primary and alternate tires, but for 2023, we're back to the 2021 configuration. So a little softer, a little more grip, a little higher degradation possibly, and yeah, it really seems to have thrown the ECR guys for a loop. Surprising to come back to the same track just 1 year later and see them struggle so much for pace.
Here's the man who won his first pole position at the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach and went on to score his first IndyCar career race victory. Let's see what Kyle Kirkwood in this AutoNation Honda for Andretti Autosport can do here.
It's tough to kind of understate how much of an advantage it is to be at the front of pit lane at a track like this for the exact reason you talked about, Townsend. That clear racetrack just gives you such an advantage right now in these qualifying sets. You saw Rinus VeeKay having to just tiptoe around on his outlap, trying to get heat in the tires at a third quarter maybe of race speed. But the 27 car, Kyle Kirkwood, he can just go and hammer down.
And it also means that you'll be the first back to your box, the first to start giving feedback to your race engineer, the first to potentially make the adjustments that you're going to need when you go to the softer tire. 8 minutes is a very concentrated period of time to do all of that sort of thing. So the advantage pays dividends, you know, in multiple ways.
And the numbers don't lie. Right now, Kyle Kirkwood is 2 seconds faster than Marcus Ericsson, who was the next car on track, just because Marcus not able to start his lap quite as aggressively, most likely, because he was trying to gap from Kyle. So an early advantage certainly being up there. So right on board now with Alexander Rossi, very quick in practice.
Track temp 93 right now, ambient 72 diff. It's ideal to go fast.
Perfect, and here is the man at the top of the championship, Marcus Ericsson, that Husky chocolate Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing. Kind of a weekend is it going to be for him? The man seems nothing phases Marcus Ericsson anymore. He's comfortable in his own skin in IndyCar now and is going from strength to strength. Back on board Rossi.
Go gray 2.
Here's Romain Grosjean in the 28 Delaware Life Honda. And it was a tough day yesterday for Romain Grosjean, who had an engine issue, came to a stop around the museum section of the track, and that really hampered his weekend. Minimal laps in the first practice session, Hinch.
He only did about 8 laps, but P6 in practice this morning. I spoke to a couple different drivers that said, you know what, Grosjean might not have got as much time on track in P1, didn't get to try those alternate tires ahead of qualifying like most drivers did. But a lot of guys have their eye on Romain. They said that his sector times were very competitive. A lot of drivers complain of not getting that clear lap, Townsend. So it's really tough to look into pure pace in the practice times, but a lot of drivers said this guy looked very quick.
And I think just from a confidence standpoint, Diff, he's coming off, I think, one of his strongest ever IndyCar weekends at Long Beach, not just because of speed, not just because of racecraft, but because of patience. And potentially not feeling the urgency of having to win and having to dominate in the same way that we've seen out of Grosjean since he arrived in IndyCar. He just seems to have settled into the idea that, hey, some days you're going to take that P2 and celebrate a job well done. I feel like he did that at Long Beach, and potentially they can take another step if they have that fast car. There's no doubt he's going to win an IndyCar race. Just take the pressure off yourself a little bit. I think he's done that.
You're seeing Helio Castroneves and Stingray Robb, one of the rookies this year, in that top 6 at the moment. They both went out on the alternate red-walled, softer compound Firestone tires. Here is 3-time winner here at Barber, Joseph Newgarden in the PPG Chevy. Whoa! And he is working hard. That car stepped out. He goes over the alternate finish line and timing line. He jumps up into the top 4. Romain Grosjean goes to the top with back on board Rinus VeeKay.
Such an incredible section of this racetrack. You go down into the valley, huge compression, and then it totally unloads as you go up over a blind rise. James, I never get tired of watching that on board. You did it many times in the cockpit.
Never got tired of driving that. I think that 12-13 combo is my favorite corner combo of the entire year in an Indy car. As you say, it's pretty much G in every direction, vertical, up and down, positive, negative, left, right, incredibly high G numbers, incredibly high speeds, massive commitment required from the drivers, but it's just so much fun, Marty, to wheel an Indy car around this racetrack.
Well, Hitch, you'd be hard-pressed to find a driver better at Barber Motorsports Park than this guy, Alex Palou. 2 races here, a win and a second-place finish. I asked him a moment ago about this qualifying session, though, and he told me, no doubt, one of the most difficult sessions of the entire year. A mistake here can cost you everything. He expects the top 10 to be separated by less than 1/10 of a second. That'd be amazing, Kevin Lee.
Marty, the first guy to ever win an IndyCar race here back in 2010 was Helio Castroneves right there in the Sirius XM AutoNation car, but it's not been good this week, and in fact, it's not gone great all season for the entire team. The goal right here is just make it to round 2, and with that, they've already used a set of the alternates, putting on their second set of sticker reds in a moment. Talking with Mike Shank, it's just the goal, chip away at it. Let's keep the morale up and keep going. Dave?
Kevin, I talked to Graham Rahal just before he jumped into the 15 car, which, by the way, this weekend, green and white for One Cure and CSU. I said, what was the disparity between Christian Lugard, who was a couple of tenths faster, your teammate, and you? He said, well, the front end. His compliance was much better than mine, but at the same time, he nailed turn 2. I looked at his data, and he said, I didn't get that good a lap in turn 2. So we see if Graham can get through to the fast 12.
Here is that One Cure Honda for Graham Rahal. Been on the podium here a couple of times since IndyCar has been racing here. 12 previous events for the NTT IndyCar Series. Just 3 minutes left in Group 1 Q1. Grosjean, Dixon, Castroneves, Newgarden, Kirkwood and Rossi, but a lot to play out over these closing 3 minutes.
Keeping my eye on the qualifying record set in 21 by Pato Award at a 105.5 as Newgarden starts to build temperature in the alternate Firestone tire. You'll see that minus 3.5 tenths, so that puts them right around a 106.0 potentially at the line. Maybe track record threatening today, but we'll have to see. I think every year as the track surface ages, it gets harder to chase that track record. Newgarden to the top, 105.8. That's pretty quick.
It's getting there for sure as we're right on board with Graham Rahal trying to get his fast lap together. And Townsend is looking at our telemetry screen here with what we call the marching ants, the track map. The drivers have done a very good job of spacing themselves out with only 2 minutes to run. I don't think we're going to see a lot of this slowing down, trying to find the gap. You can see there, everybody's nicely sort of spaced out. Maybe Kyle Kirkwood needs to back off of David Malukas there a little bit, but for the most part, everybody being smart about finding themselves a clean bit of real estate.
This is Stingray Robb in the Biohaven. Rick Ware Racing with Dale Coyne.
He's right on the bubble. He's got a shot to bump his way in. Stingray Robb goes to 6, Diff.
So that's back-to-back alternate runs. As was the case, Kevin detailed with Helio Castroneves. Romain Grosjean is in the green. We go on board here. Callum Ilott, he performed really well here last year. Let's see if the British driver can make the cut, Hinch.
Yeah, was having a great run here last year till a late issue in the race. Made a mistake in turn 9, but for what was the little team that could back then as a first-year team with a rookie driver, one car, now they've really grown to a bit of a it's a growing powerhouse operation, Townsend.
It reminds me a lot of the path that Sam Schmidt Motorsports took, becoming the Aero McLaren SP, now the Aero McLaren team, in terms of just year-on-year growth and strength. Juncos Hollinger really starting to show a lot of resource, a lot of capability. Every track that they go, as Rinus VeeKay goes to P2.
I guess that's that old setup. They didn't need it. They found a new one, and it's starting to work for Rinus VeeKay.
Rahal to 4th. Then he gets pushed to 5th. Now at 6th because Eilert jumps up into the top 5. Ericsson is in P2. 40 seconds left on the clock.
So down low, you're looking at Scott Dixon, this man right here, to try to jump in. Kyle Kirkwood and Alexander Rossi are the 2 others in the relegation zone right now. Is Dixon all the way to the top of the 105.7.
That's pretty good. That's only a couple of tenths off the qualifying lap record. Alexander Rossi, even faster again. 20 seconds left.
That's the Rossi pop we've been looking for so far this season. Rossi to the top.
Currently P1. We'll let you know. Stand by.
Yeah, they're going to give him a call to back off and save those alternate tires. No need to put...
Look at that. Is that a qualifying record? 105.
105.0.
Close. Really close.
I think you might be right with these softer tires. Same compound that we saw in 2021, so it is a pretty apples-to-apples comparison, but I think track conditions probably a little bit better today.
Ambience good, cloud covers there, keeps the track temp down. Track is older, but the car's probably a little faster. Motors maybe a little bit more power.
Marcus Ericsson didn't do enough to jump himself further up than 6th as Romain Grosjean is on a lap to potentially get him out of transferring.
Currently P2, you're +5 to Grosjean.
This lap by Grosjean could push Ericsson out. Championship leader may not make the cut.
That would be devastating. He said that qualifying was a big focus for him. We see the new colors.
Here we go, up and over the hill. There's the line. Romain Grosjean goes to P2. Ericsson is out.
Oh,
nice job,
devastating blow for Marcus Ericsson, the Chip Ganassi Racing Squad. But great, these new Delaware Life colors, they're paying off for Romain Grosjean.
How about that?
Good job on the communication.
Good job, too, from Kyle Kirkwood to get in after struggling a bit in practice yesterday. Both those Andretti cars with Grosjean pushing forward.
So, Team Penske on top, based on the strength marder. I just want to come back to a point that Callum Eilert made with Dave Burns earlier. He said, I don't think it was a track spacing thing. I just, it was tight. So tight that top 6, the first group to go through, covered by less than 0.2 of a second.
And for the 2 clips that we showed, the super slow-mo clips of Callum Eilert, I love those shots, James, because you can really appreciate the nuance of his finesse. I mean, only 2 clips, but in the most challenging corner, I think here, which is the brake zone coming into the museum complex over the curve, you could just tell the way that he modulated brake pressure, just slipping that right front tire, not locking, just slipping it and hitting his apex still. He's a wonderfully talented driver. So he knows if he's done the best he can, you got to be satisfied with that. As close as the competition is, he'll focus forward to race day.
Just seeing the People Ready logo there inside Jack Harvey's Honda for Rahal Letterman Lanigan reminds me that the People Ready Force for Good Challenge is still on this year for the first driver to win on 3 different types of circuits in the NTT IndyCar Series. We've had 3 different winners from the 3 races thus far. It's been an awesome start to the series. Speaking of winning, this guy knows how to do it at this very track. This place will always hold a special memory for Spain's Alex Palou. This is where career victory #1 came, and it launched him to his championship-winning season, Marty, in 2021.
Oh, he has fond memories here, Diff, and who can forget your call? Hello, Palou, coming to the line. You still say that today, right? So, hey, we were in that conversation I mentioned earlier about talking to Alex. He said on the alternate tires, he said, you've got 1, maybe 2 laps to get those laps done. So, Hinch, what's that pressure like on a driver when you know, hey, I've got 1 shot, maybe 2 shots to get the time in I need on those sticker alternate tires?
Yeah, the pressure, Marty, is so high because the grip jump going from the primaries to the alternate is so big. You're kind of taking a guess at that first brake zone. How much apex speed can I carry? How late can I get on the brakes? How early can I get back to throttle? You kind of hope that they're going to hold on for at least a second lap. You can get a safe-ish one in. You still have to push because it's so close, but then really go for everything on lap 2.
And all the while, you're keeping fuel load in mind, helping you try to guess or help your guess in terms of where you really go for it And if you're running a really low fuel deal to try to maximize everything, you only have maybe that 2 laps before it's too late. So it's really like trying to jump and land on the tip of a needle diff in terms of taking a leap of faith and trying to figure out what will the car accommodate in terms of entry commitment. And if you get it wrong, this place will really penalize you.
Another thing that really affects that is your outlap. How much heat could you get into those Firestones going from pit out to that alternate start finish line? If it's a bit of a slower outlap, that's probably going to mean you get that second lap. Your first lap might not be optimal, but you'll get that second lap in.
Connor Daly and Devlin DiFrancesco, you see at the top of the order there, they've decided to go out on the alternates. So too has Augustine Canapino, the rookie for Juncos Hollinger, and you see it right there on your screen, car 78. First time here, of course. Important weekend for him as he continues this building process. Dave, what you got?
Santino Ferrucci in the pits still is what we've got, Lee. Putting primaries on now. Had the bonnet off, could not find a gear. A number of things could cause that, but he could not find a gear. Let's listen to the radio.
Again, downshift. M4, box, emergency mode to get back here.
And sorry, that was obviously 1 lap on the track, but then couldn't downshift, so came immediately back in. They've gone to work on it. They'll send Santino back out.
Well, during the lunch break in between practice and this qualifying, Hinch and I were in the AJ Foyt camp talking to engineer Michael Cannon, and that team were working feverishly on a clutch issue. So clearly that hasn't remedied itself. They haven't been able to get on top of that, unfortunately, as time ticks away for Santino Ferrucci.
Meanwhile, Connor Daly on that alternate tire, the softer tire, goes to a 106.7. But in Group 1, it took a 105.7 to transfer. Teammate VK doing that time. So Connor's going to have to find presumably about a second more to have a shot to move into the next round of 12.
Well, you see both Alex Palou and Colton Herta jumping ahead of Daly. Pato Award as well, still on the primaries as we see the 20 start to fall down the order there. Scott McLaughlin has jumped himself up into P2 as well. Christian Lundgaard's had a really strong weekend so far. By far the best start to a weekend for any of the Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing entries this season. Desperately wants to keep that streak this weekend alive, get himself into the top 12, maybe be a threat for the Fast Six.
And went to 5th with that lap. Now gets pushed back as Devlin DiFrancesco on those alternates.
I'm surprised how hard Lundgaard's driving it for a banker lap. I mean, he's leaving very little margin to the edge of the track.
Isn't that reflective of the desperation to get a good spot? Like he's done
but he's on his banker lap. You know, he's going to still come in and put on the reds, which are going to be faster. So I love the aggression, but boy, make sure you get that thing to pit lane and give yourself a chance when it really counts as he overshoots the brake zone there in 5.
It's definitely less important to be 10/10ths on those banker laps this year than it was in the past. Before, a red flag could come out, and if it was big enough, the clock kept running, and that could absolutely destroy your qualifying and destroy your race. Now, in both Q1 and Q2, you get one free red flag where the clock will stop and give everybody a chance to get back out on the right tires. So it's a little less urgent now than it's been in the past, but still absolutely wringing the neck of this number 45 Hy-Vee Honda.
Less than 5 minutes remain. Here's Connor Daly, decided to go out on the alternates right from the first exit of the pit lane. The call is come back to the lane. He's in 6th at the moment.
Yeah, I don't hate this call for any of the drivers that were a little bit further down in practice to go red, give themselves 2 shots at getting the balance right, finding absolutely everything you can out of these alternates. That's not going to be the tire for the race. I'm fairly confident it's going to be a primary race, so you have an extra set to burn. This is a good move for people like Connor Daly, like Canapino, like Devlin DiFrancesco.
And this is the time to get a laptop into Connor's face real quick, give him a VK reference lap and say, all right, this is where you've got to find some big chunks of time. Like I said, Connor needs about a second here to start to threaten, maybe 6/10 to really start to threaten. Yeah, VK did a 5.7.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that's a chunk.
Simon Pagenaud, the Arctic Wolf on board, has an opportunity to get one of the Meyer Shank Hondas into the Fast 12.
Uncharacteristic at this point even in qualifying to see Will Power down there in P9. The qualifying king, all-time pole record holder. he's so good at getting a lap out of the reds, but you usually still see him up there over a lap on the bankers as well.
Could really hear how easily Pagenaud was rolling into the throttle on the outlap to try to protect the rears, work the fronts, but leave as much grip on the rears because they're up to temperature much faster.
Just coming back to that point on power, Hinch, of the 12 races he's done here, only 3 he started outside the second row. Like the king of qualifying, his numbers don't lie. Marty?
Hey, Jeff, you know, one interesting thing as we watch Alex Palou on the racetrack here in the green livery this weekend, he is, a lot of drivers not waiting on pit road at all. They're coming in, taking off those alternate tires, the primary tires, Townsend, putting on the alternates because traffic has been such a big conversation this weekend here at Barber. So, like Palou said, I don't want to wait. I want to get out as soon as I can. Normally you would wait a little bit, right, Townsend? But not this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of waiting is just trying to get the track as rubbered in as possible. But the risk sometimes outweighs the reward as Palou seems to be working his tire temperature up. I'd expect the full send lap to start once he hits the timing line.
Hey, Marty, while we got you on the line, how is it feeling out there atmospheric-wise?
Cool. It's nice.
It's cooling off, is it?
Yes, it feels like speed. That's what it feels like, Diff. But no rain in the area. Don't worry about that. Just cloud cover right now. Nice little breeze, but it feels way cooler than what it was here yesterday at the track, I'm told.
Tough break for
Lundgaard's
Lundgaard
team.
here.
Yep, they're going to ask for interference there, Townsend.
Yeah, well, and he's got to reset, re-rack here quickly offline. Hope his tires don't get dirty and try to fire off for one heater. But he definitely caught the tail end. I think that was Armstrong.
I believe it was. And then he had to let his teammate Jack Harvey go. Here's a look again. There's Armstrong in the blue and white number 11 American Legion car. Look, he's just warming his tires up on an out lap, or a prep lap at least. And that's his, I mean, yeah.
What is this guy doing?
When IndyCar looks for that sort of thing, they look at, you know, difference to your last lap. And clearly that was not a hot lap for Marcus Armstrong, so that one definitely going to be under review, but it doesn't matter. Christian Lundgaard still needs to go get it done, and he is on a flyer right now.
Look at Palou. 5.58 matches Newgarden's 5.58, which is quickest in Group 1. So Alex Palou finding his groove once again. Let's see what Lundgaard can do.
He's on a strong one to easily clear in to the top 6. He might even go P2 at this time, Townsend.
Yeah, but a whole lot of green behind him.
Pagenaud goes P2, then gets dropped to P3 because of Armstrong, but there might be a penalty coming Armstrong's way. Lundgaard now to the second spot.
That's impressive.
Great lap from Christian Lundgaard. Pato Award slips in just in front of him as Will Power now into the top 6. Simon Pagenaud on the bubble. Pagenaud out as McLaughlin jumps in.
Rosenquist is on a good one. So too, that green disappeared. I think it may have been on Herta's lap there. 14 seconds remain. That's it. These flying laps count big time. Herta doesn't leap over that line to 6th. He only goes to 8th.
Power's big threat right now is from Devlin DiFrancesco. It looks like DiFrancesco just 700ths now, a 1/10.5 off. Doesn't look like it's going to be enough as Marcus Armstrong is still on track. I'm sure that situation under review by race control.
Yeah, nothing yet through the information pipeline yet from race control. Stand by on that one. The American Legion Honda finishes his Q1 right there, crossing the line, and heads to the pits.
Looks like Power's safe with about 5 more cars still on track to complete their lap. What's going on with Colton Herta?
Surprised to see the 26 outside of the top 6 right now. The Gamebridge Honda struggling for pace. He was P2 in practice this morning. He did tell me, though, he was worried about how that looked because so many cars didn't get a clean lap with 27 race cars on the track, and he's going to cross the line.
Hasn't been a great track for Colton Herta. Just 3 races here, but 24th, 22nd, and 10th in 3 appearances at Barber.
Marcus Armstrong loses his fastest 2 laps because of qualifying interference. So that's a valuable lesson learned in his early IndyCar days.
What's good for Christian Lundgaard is he was unaffected by that either way. He was up in the Fast 6 anyway, in the top 12 overall, but Fast 6 in this in this qualifying segment. So, yeah, you see Marcus Armstrong here again. To get that close to the car in front of you when that car's not been on a flying lap, that is very clear and a reasonable penalty, unfortunately, for Marcus Armstrong.
It is, but I also have to say we don't know. We can only speculate what he did not hear on the radio.
For sure. Yeah, it's a team effort, guys. This is a team sport, and that's one of those situations where
every
the pit
team
wall,
has spotters out there,
and they see on the telemetry in pit lane where every car is, what the gaps are to your race car, and so that is definitely a blow for the rookie.
And he is going to be working hard tomorrow, buried in the pack on the starting grid for the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix. 90 grueling laps around the Barber Motorsports Park circuit. May not be the longest, but this place is a tough task. It's a tough examination. And then you add in the southern heat and humidity. We'll see what it's like tomorrow. A little bit of weather predicted overnight. Rain late this afternoon and overnight. Clearing by the morning should leave us for a good race day. And you'll see it 3 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Now, many of you watched on Thursday night the series debut, the series premiere of 100 Days to Indy, our very own James Hinchcliffe in it. Kevin, so much as we ease our way into Q2. These are the fastest 12. And this is where it funnels down as we get closer to the Firestone Fast 6. Love it.
Well, and just listen to the Pagano. He listed Penske's 3 drivers, Hinch, Ganassi's 4 drivers, Arrow McLaren. So he didn't mention the sister program of Andretti 2, which is awfully fast with a 4-car field. So there's muscle all over the place. And with young drivers like Kyle Kirkwood right there starting to find their groove, it's only getting harder.
Well, if there are 2 drivers
Look
in
at
this, whoa, that was close. There are 2 drivers on that board there that stand out who are looking for a good result. It's Rinus VeeKay and Christian Lundgaard. Let's give them some props for making it through to the Fast 12. And let's see what pans out here over these next 10 minutes. Look at this for close. That is VeeKay and Will Power. The 2 Chevy drivers almost collide.
Why? We're on banker black tires, Hinch. What are we doing?
Isn't it funny, as Will looks down the inside, isn't it funny how in Q1, Group 1 and 2, we had more cars on track than we do right now. And both sessions, everybody played pretty nice. They spread themselves out, gave themselves room. Outlap of Q2, and everybody's running into the back of one another.
It's like everybody fired down a can of aggro or something in between runs. This is VeeKay. Oh, he broke the gentleman's rule and passed Will Power. And then, did they touch?
They didn't, but that was some tire smoke as Rinus VeeKay had to lock up to avoid the Penske sandwich he was in. This is just bizarre.
That's the reigning series champion saying, listen, kid, get back in your place. The gentleman's agreement is no passing on this initial lap, on this out lap.
And I get it. I mean, if you're Will Power, you're like, dude, all we're trying to do is get a feel on this banker lap. You know, more likely this is not going to be your log time. So Power trying to send a message to the young Dutch driver.
But again, that position in pit lane is so advantageous for this guy right here, Kyle Kirkwood. The number 27, nothing but clear racetrack for him. 30 seconds to the good. And both him, Alex Palou behind him, Scott Dixon, Joseph Newgarden have done a nice job of sort of getting that gap.
And for Kyle Kirkwood, you've got a huge benefit on your team, which is looking at Grosjean's data now. He got a chance to study that. Where can I pick up something on the Reds? Can we make a setup change? They communicate so well, as you know, on the stand with data, with quick feedback. My hunch is that on Kirkwood's car, they've probably made a few quick adjustments, and he might have a shot to do even better here.
Yeah, I mean, you're sitting there in between Q1 and Q2. A tablet comes into the car, into the cockpit with driver traces on it from your teammates, so you can instantly see where that 1, 2, 3 tenths is coming from. And it's just so helpful for a driver like Kyle Kirkwood to be able to then go out and try to apply that on the racetrack in Q2.
Dixon's tires.
Yeah, Dixon and Palou, they go up. The VeeKay Power thing is under review, by the way, by race control. Grosjean slides his way up to 4th.
Dixon on the alternate, though, right away. Is that a used red?
That's a used red for sure.
I like
Again,
that call.
This is not going to be a red tire race. If you had any doubts, this is proof that it's going to be a primary tire race for sure. So those drivers going out, just getting that faster banker lap, but also a more representative balance, because the balance can shift between primaries and alternates. So throw on those used reds. You probably made a tweak from Q1, and it just sets you up so much better for your sticker run a little bit later.
6:50 on the clock. Fast 12. Who's going to make it through to fight for the NTT P1 award? Alex Pillow's going on with his fast lap from before. He's in the green. So too is Newgarden. Half a second to the good on 6th place at the moment. Kirkwood goes to P2.
When you look at it, it's only Team Penske and McLaren that got all their drivers into Q2. So good effort from both those squads. You know, Penske came here and tested a few weeks ago. They've been quick all weekend long. But so is Ganassi. It's going to be a battle of the Titans up front. See a bar change there from Rinus VeeKay as he heads into 12, uphill to 13. You can't see the exit curve, Townsend. You have to just trust that it's there.
Looked like he was stiffening the front bar for that section, trying to support the platform at the front of the race car as Lundgaard comes up and over, hits the line, finds traffic again on that run.
Jumps to 8th. He'll dive for the pits. Put on those softer Redwall Firestone Firehawk tires. Here is Romain Grosjean, currently in 9th, but he's looking good to jump his way up into the top 6 before heading to the pits again.
Such a fun section there, down over those curbs, just launching the IndyCar. It's a very bizarre brake trace you have to use down there, Townsend, to modulate the brake over that curbing, and then you got caught in the banking of turn 9. God, this place is fun to drive.
Yeah, it's really a thing of beauty. Anytime you go to a permanent road course that follows the natural topography of a hilly area, Laguna Seca, Mid-Ohio, Road America, Road Atlanta, here at Barber Motorsports Park, I mean, it's rave reviews. Nature knew what it was doing in terms of designing itself for racetracks.
And you race there plenty, but we don't go there in the NTT IndyCar Series. VIR in Virginia.
One of the best.
Beautiful natural terrain track. 4:45 on the clock. They all dive for pit road. Let's get some fresh tires on it. Let's get those Redwall alternates, and then we begin the real showdown to see who makes it to the Firestone Fast 6. By the way, nothing from race control between Rinus VeeKay and Will Power.
Alexander Rossi locking a little bit of everything there in the number 7 McLaren, having to get a big handful of opposite lock. Listen here.
So he grabbed the downshift just as he was on the brakes and hitting, casing it over that curve, and I think everything just locked up at the back and it almost stalled the car, so it sort of landed with the engine effectively not running for a second, and then bump started itself as it got sideways.
Yeah, rear lock for Rossi, front lock here for Kyle Kirkwood down into turn 5. Such a difficult brake zone. It's so downhill. The car just does not want to stop. It's so easy to get tempted and lured into braking a little bit too deep. Luckily, it's a nice wide bit of racetrack, so if you do get in a bit hot, you can save it, but you just lose a lot of lap time.
One thing I'm not seeing, and I'd be curious, Kevin, at what you see on pit lane, I don't see a lot of teams making many changes, if any, between the black and the red tire this weekend. Marty, maybe you see something.
Yeah, just quick wing changes is really all that, and sometimes just half a turn of wing. But I want to talk, Townsend, about what Scott Dixon did in that first run right there. He went to the used alternates. You noticed that, Townsend, right? But if they make the Firestone Fast 6, that's going to really give them just one option for a set of tires to use in the Fast 6, right? Because now that other set of alternate tires has about 6 laps on it. This one will be the one that they'll have to use. I'm curious, what do you think of why they went with the that set of used alternate tires?
Well, I think for the reason that James explained, which was that it gives you maybe a closer read. It's a red read and then an adjustment for a sticker set of reds. As we understand, Kyle Kirkwood had some drama.
So it's like,
oh, yes, he did. Oh, yes, he did. Coming down from turn 3, heading to turn 4.
Listen to this. He does a fancy bit of driving to keep it spun around and going uphill. Listen.
On the outlap.
Wow.
It's not great for your tires to do a 360 coming out of the pits, Townsend.
Not the first time we've seen this in qualifying on an outlap for Kyle Kirkwood. You remember St. Pete?
Yeah, in the
straight into the tires
Fast 6.
for the Fast 6.
Now, what I don't know is if the car behind him, I believe it was Rinus VeeKay, if he was on a fast lap, got impeded by that, there will be a penalty to Kyle Kirkwood. For that scenario, it's loss of fastest lap up to that point in the session, if I remember the rule correctly. Now, that won't really be valid once he goes and gets his red lap in, so he should still be okay.
All right, here we go. High V Honda, rub your hands together. This is where it gets interesting. Final minute and 3/4. Trying to make it through to the Firestone Fast 6. More and more green starting to appear on the screen. Hello, Newgarden, VK, Lundgaard, we ride with him.
A lot of brake bias. That was a full turn to the front on brake bias. VK getting a feel in the first brake zone and probably locking rears. Sorry, Lundgaard, and furiously cranking the bias knob. Here's VK.
Great day so far for both of these young drivers. Really, look at them just fighting the rear end. It's such a difficult corner. 14, 15, 16, 3 consecutive right-hand corners, all decreasing radius. So easy to have the back of the car trying to pass it as we see Palou across the line.
Watch this.
To the top.
1:05.83 from Alex Palou to set the pace. Less than a minute to go to draw that line in the sand of who makes it and who does not. This is Grosjean, the Auto Nation on board.
Perfect down there. Nailed the line.
He's got a car up front. Looks like they're still on a fast lap, so shouldn't be a traffic issue.
He's on a really good lap. Award at the top, 5-7. Grosjean still looking quicker. 1 corner to go, up over the hill.
Lundgaard in P3. What happens with Grosjean? Does he leap? You bet. All the way to the top. 20 seconds left. His power.
Not quick enough to advance. He'll get one more chance. Let's ride along.
Going to be interesting to see who can make this second lap work. We're still lapping almost 2/10 slower than the fastest times in both groups of Q1. So if these second laps, if these tires hang on.
He barely touched the brake pedal for turn 1.
Clock's up.
Pato Award going slowly there. I think he's sort of abandoned his lap knowing he's safe.
Oh, power's off.
Down in turn 5, we're just talking about it, and so is Rinus VK. That looks like maybe 2-3.
Neither of those drivers will go through. The king of qualifying out and last year's pole winner out. They will not be going into the Firestone Fast 6. Scott McLaughlin.
He's right there. 800ths down, McLaughlin.
This is it.
Oh, he missed the apex just a bit, got wide.
This is it. He's there and pushes his teammate Joseph Newgarden out.
Good job. That's P3.
Look at him, little fist pump there, happy with himself there. Those in the clutch. Great drive there from Scott McLaughlin. Pushes his teammate, 3-time winner Joseph Newgarden out. He will be the sole Penske that moves on to the Firestone Fast 6.
5 teams in the top 6.
And well done, young Christian Lundgaard, lifting the spirits of Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan by making it in to the Firestone Fast 6. Well, going true to form, that's what he did the first time we saw him. Alexander Rossi, what happened to the Arrow McLaren man?
Down in turn 1. Balance looks okay, but that death wiggle right at the exit. We've seen this from Will Power this weekend, and then we get a much better angle. It was a pretty big slide.
And as that weight in the car transfers left and right, it just completely hoses your entry here to turn 2. You've got to get off all the pedals, settle the platform before you can apply the brakes, and there's so much time lost and gain here as we see McLaughlin using every bit of racetrack and then some on his quest to get into the Firestone Fast 6.
Hey guys, apparently there was a something to do with Will Power and Felix Rosenquist. This is the VK incident.
Great. But bad luck.
Rosenquist, you said, and Will Power?
Yeah, maybe when the 12 came back onto the track, maybe he impeded Felix Rosenquist.
Probably won't matter much.
We've already heard. Got an update. No action. No action on that.
Big slide. Did well to keep it out of the tire barrier, out of the Armco, but on his 50th start in the IndyCar Series, he will not have gone as far as he liked. But still, P9 right now for Rinus VK is a great position.
If you'd asked him in the lunch break when he came in 20th after practice 2, would you take 9th for Sunday's race? He'd say absolutely. Here's Power. This is where it went wrong. Deep in the brake zone.
He tried to make it work. He did everything he could to go deep. He knew.
Improve. You don't want to rest on your laurels, but at the same time, sometimes just going back out with the exact same car, the driver will find the difference in himself rather than needing to do something to the setup.
It was that exact dynamic that I think got you
Indy
a pole of
500,
Indy and me almost in the hospital in practice with the same guy on the stand tweaking. I love it because you're always going for it, but Rossi knows, what he's saying is we should have just not touched anything. It was fine. We could have advanced. But hindsight always, of course, is perfect vision.
All right, here we go. Love this part of qualifying. It's Q3. It's the Firestone Fast 6 where there is a bonus championship point on offer. Can we get a fourth different pole winner at 4 attempts for this 2023 NTT IndyCar season? Will we get an 8th different pole winner here at Barber in succession? There's been tremendous sharing of that NTT P1 award here at the Alabama circuit.
Well, only one of the drivers in the Firestone Fast 6 has a pole so far this year, so we got 5-1 odds of having 4 for 4, which is great as they come and start their banker laps around this beautiful facility here at Barber Motorsports Park. It's a real Xanadu right here in the middle of Birmingham, Alabama, just outside in Leeds. Gorgeous to look at and gorgeous to drive.
Called Barber Motorsports Park because it is. It is a park. Beautiful lake over the back, set on 880 acres. Look at that. Aerial tells the story. Just fantastic. 2 drivers in this Firestone Fast 6, by the way, have now made all 3 Firestone Fast 6s, and they are Romain Grosjean and Pato O'Ward. This is Alex Palou. Don't be surprised if this Ridgeline Lubricants Honda is on the pole.
But a totally different challenge. That's what makes the Fast 6 fun. This is a used red run for all these drivers. So now you've got to adjust on the fly. You had to figure out sticker reds with short notice, and now you've got to figure out used reds.
Way wide there for Alex Palou in turn 5. But again, Townsend, this is why I love what Scott Dixon did in Q2. He's already had a run on used reds. He knows roughly what they feel like. I know he's only got the one set now of one run used reds to do it, but he could go out there with a little bit more knowledge.
He has the chance to adjust his car specifically for used reds. So we'll have to see what kind of chess match this plays out to be.
Guys, I asked Alex Palou yesterday, when you get off the pit lane speed limiter and you release pit out and away you go at Barber Motorsports Park, what do you say yes about? Where do you love? What specific part do you love? And he looked at me and he said, all of it.
Yes.
He said, I love this track. And so don't be surprised with his speed, his skill, as Romain Grosjean dives for the pits. 4:33 left on the clock.
Fastest man in Q2. He loves this type of permanent road course. We've seen success out of him on these types of tracks in the past. Indy GP, a very strong track for Grosjean, and now absolutely laying the gauntlet down 0.4 of a second over P2 Scott McLaughlin as of right now. Great first lap from the 28.
4 minutes on the clock.
Look at Christian Lundgaard right now tracking to P1 as is Pato O'Ward, but just a great effort no matter what happens from here on out for the 45 of Christian Lundgaard. So impressed with that young man.
Never started on the front row. He started 3rd twice in his young IndyCar career. Could he do it? What's Pato O'Ward got? Defending race winner.
He's on the purple switch, probably ramping up some engine timing, trying to optimize things. Big oversteer coming out of the museum corner. That's not going to help your exit speed.
It's not, and that's essentially a straightaway flat out through this chicane there, so that hurts your exit speed all the way down in this run to turn 12. Look at him just fighting the wheel, a little bit free on the entry to 12, understeer at 13.
He had the luckiest escape there yesterday. O'Ward goes to P2. 3:20 left on the clock. Here's the Hy-Vee Honda. Lundgaard, how good is it? Gets him up to 3rd.
Great start so far. Scott Dixon probably went out on that double run set of used reds, saving his better one for the 2nd attempt. But another lap here. Every other car in pit lane.
I want to watch this, Hinch. I want to see, what do these reds do with more abuse? How far did they hang on? Looks pretty good. Ambient 72, track temp 91. It continues to drop diff as the clouds have moved in, so that might help Christian Lundgaard on this run. He's a 10th down to Grosjean.
This Danish driver has the entire track to himself. Now more players come out. Here they come. They've all left pit road. They're all coming for their one last flyer to try and grab this bonus championship point, the NTT P1 award.
And Lundgaard was able to get another big crank of front brake bias in. But it's just not trending the right way. 2 corners to go, 2/10 down. Lundgaard coming to the line. And I don't know if he'll have time to pit and put a second set on if they're even available to him.
Here he comes. And we'll watch that story as the others unfold. Can he defend that 3rd place? Or is he going to be eaten up by the challengers like the PNC Bank Honda of Scott Dixon, Scott McLaughlin, Alex Palou?
Romain Grosjean's the first one of the line just up the road from Scott Dixon here, who just started his first flyer on this second run here. Scott Dixon has an impeccable record here at Barber Motorsports Park. 12 races, 9 podiums, 6 of those runner-up spots, Marty. This is Scott Dixon's house, but doesn't have the win yet.
Yeah, but still no win. Exactly right, Hinch. They did go out, as you mentioned, on the older alternate tires to start off with. These are the ones that just have 3 laps or 2 real laps on them. And to the point of them learning more when they did that in the Firestone Fast 12. Mike Hall asked him, do you want any changes? Scott said, nope, it's perfect. So maybe they did learn enough to get another pole here and finally get one at Barber.
Pato O'Ward looking good. He's in the green. So too is Scott McLaughlin. And a couple of Chevy drivers turning up the heat.
If it looks like Dixon's just kind of building the temperature slowly. Meanwhile, O'Ward full push mode right here. This is where he had the oversteer. Let's see what happens. Oh, that looked good.
It's aggressive but controlled from Pato O'Ward. Full send there in turn 7.
Look at the differential. There is nothing between O'Ward and Grosjean as he comes to fire it over the hill.
Here we go. This could be the first for Scott McLaughlin. It is. The Good Ranchers Chevy goes to the top. Here's O'Ward. Can he respond?
Yes.
Yes, he does.
Wow, that was brilliant.
But Grosjean's on one as well. He's so close. Scott Dixon, Palou, everybody green behind. Grosjean is halfway through the lap, almost a 10th to the good. This is going to be a shootout.
This could be the tightest Fast 6 in history. Look at everybody is right on top of the same 10th.
10 seconds left on the clock. Grosjean to the museum complex.
Not a single 10th between the... Oh, here we go. Grosjean finally.
He nailed it.
That's a great run through turn 8, 9. Now,
beautiful.
Just 12, 13 to go before the timing line. Big commitment here from Grosjean.
He
Let's
doesn't
listen.
need to take too much.
Got plenty of time on his side. Here's the line. Romain Grosjean to the top. You betcha.
Nice job, nice job.
3 cars behind him. Scott Dixon's first up.
Not going to happen.
Then the 10 and the 3, but no green behind him as we see McLaughlin.
Whoa, Palou, nice jump.
So mixes up right at the end on those final laps, but Andretti Autosport is celebrating. There's Michael, front and center. Well done. 2nd pole of the year for Romain Grosjean.
He ruined the streak.
He did.
We had 3 for 3. Now it is an extra one for him in those Delaware Life colors this weekend.
Fresh from his runner-up place at the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, Romain Grosjean is on top again. He drove so well on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida, all for it to be undone, and it finished in the tire war when he was battling Scott McLaughlin for the win. He's going to start on pole again, and if you start on the front row here, history tells us you've got a very good chance of victory.
I'll tell you, if Grosjean gets to watch back what we just saw from all the onboards, I mean, all the drivers in the Fast 6, excellent, less than 3/10 separating first to 6, and everybody was absolutely on the limit in every corner. So Grosjean should be very proud. That's a really, really great job of executing when it mattered.
I mean, it was just over 1/10. It was less than a 10th and a half.
Crazy.
Covering the top 6.
Well, I think we got Newgarden there. No, I think it's about, I think it was 2.5 tenths.
Don't I see 105.8 and 105.9? Oh, it's changed. There we go. Sorry, our screen was, well,
Still changing.
Well, our
Just hang on.
screen's
Just hold that thought.
Yes.
Let's celebrate with Romain Grosjean. Delaware Life is part of Group 1001, Marty. This is his first race in these colours. Group 1001 said, welcome to the family. And Romain Grosjean says, I'm here.
What an impressive performance. And you go back to